It's the Poker News Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 874th episode of the Poker News Podcast. I am Chad Holloway, joined by Kyna England and Mike Holtz over there at Level 9 Studio in Las Vegas. We have a fun show for you today, starting with news that we already knew, and that's Phil Hellmuth is a BetRivers Ambassador, but it became official, right? Surprise, surprise.
Cool.
He's been wearing the hat for like months, right? I think it was, where was it? It was at Celebrity Poker Tour Championship a couple months ago. I was there, and Hellmuth, of course, there's cameras around, so he's got to come in, make his appearance, and he was wearing a BetRivers hat, and I took a picture of it and put it on social media, and that was the first time I seen it, but just became official this past week. And again, no surprise here, but what do you guys think of this news?
Well,
I mean, Hellmuth hasn't been branding a online poker site since Ultimate Bet.
Oh, so it's online poker? Well, because I remember like when Rivers, are they affiliated with the Rivers casinos? Because when Rivers in Chicago opened their poker room, he did this big grand entrance for some tournament. It was like an invitational tournament, and he went to that, and he was like, special guest Phil Hellmuth. So that was quite a while ago, though, maybe like 2 years ago. So
yeah, he's been involved with it for a little while. So it's Rush Street Interactive, Mike, which I know you are familiar with because you and I played on Poker Night in America, which is a show that's under their umbrella.
Oh, yeah. And we had some BetRivers stuff there, and I was wondering why that was. Now this all makes sense.
Yeah. So Rush Street Interactive, BetRivers, they're associated with the Rivers casinos in Pennsylvania. They have the Poker Night in America, and they are really bringing in Hellmuth to do a bunch of different things like VIP appearances. I think Hellmuth already tweeted that he's going to be at the Super Bowl for BetRivers. He's going to do.
Must be nice.
I know, right? I wanted to tease him and like, hey, how about an embedded reporter? Poker News on site.
Yeah.
Someone to follow you around, just write whatever you're doing, write down what you're eating. Everybody wants to know, Phil.
I think this whole thing, dude,
Good.
who gives a shit what Phil Hellmuth wears anymore? Like every hat the man wears is, we all know they're very reputable companies usually, obviously very flourishing, the Bitcoin Latinum, great investment. I don't know, man. Phil Hellmuth to me is the old guard, and he's, I mean, he gets clicks. It is what it is, but who cares who sponsors Phil Hellmuth's hat anymore? Like, I don't give a shit. I get what you're saying there. Like he's been the NASCAR of poker, right? Where he slaps on whatever logo. He's had so many over the years. But I do think it's notable in that this is the first online site that he's officially attached his name to since the Ultimate Bet days. Now, I know he's flirted with like Poker Stars. Sure.
There was a rumor for a while that he was going to be a Poker Stars guy, but that never came to fruition. And it's also worth noting another person that's associated with Rush Street and BetRivers team is Phil Galfond. To run it once.
An amazing human being, a fantastic person, a great Phil, one of the best Phils, maybe the greatest Phil ever. I love Philly G.
They're just balancing their range, their Phil range, right?
See if you'd explain that to me prior, now it makes more sense. You've got to balance your ranges, it's a yin and a yang.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's a powerful team. When you look at what Phil Galfond and Phil Hellmuth are into the poker world, it's a good splash by BetRivers, I think. And I don't know, I'm kind of excited to see what they end up doing with both those guys. I feel like Pennsylvania now is slated to join the Interstate Compact, the MISGA.
Sure.
And so you're going to see combined player pools, except for BetRivers isn't operating in Michigan or
that's
Nevada.
What I was going to say too, and they're using Phil Galfond's software. I saw they had the release of the BetRivers site, or maybe it was an upgrade or whatever. But I saw some people, Ryan LaPlante, Potential, he was playing on it, he was streaming on there on Twitch, and Phil Galfond's software looks great. So good for BetRivers on that, and more liquidity in online poker in any state, especially legal. Good stuff. I just don't know what Phil Hellmuth has to do with online poker. Like he
doesn't seem like he really plays online much unless it's like WSOP, or like that he's talking about playing online much unless it's WSOP.
Yeah, he'll play the bracelet events online, but he's just punting off. Like he's not, Anyway.
I mean, Lumistakin is his name. On
Yeah,
WSOP.
exactly.
Lumistakin.
Yep.
While we were talking about that, my brain like wandered so far, and I was just thinking that like, is Phil like the coin like male poker name? Like you can think of so many poker players named Phil, but then for women, it's Vanessa. You know, like I can think of like 6 or 7 Vanessa poker players, and like probably the same like
I can too,
6
actually.
or
That's weird.
7 like poker Phils, right? Like it's just that's where my mind went when
How many,
you said that.
how many poker
Balance the
Chad
bills.
Mikes? I feel like there's a lot.
Probably, but
There's
it's
a
like
lot of
less,
poker
you know,
Mikes.
it's a more common name, and like you really like, I don't know, I can't off the top Mike Madisow, and I can't think of anyone else.
Remember when we used to play Which Phil Said It, a little game here on the Poker News podcast, because there are so many.
That's fun.
And then speaking of Vanessa's, I seen Vanessa Rousso recently returned to the poker streets.
Oh, really?
She was down, I think, at Seminole Hard Rock or something, playing down there, and she tweeted about it or put it on Instagram, which just to see her back for a little bit was cool because she's largely retired, raising a family and stuff. So thought that was pretty neat.
Cool.
Well, before we move on to some other stories, I want to thank our sponsor for this episode of the Poker News podcast, and that is the WSOP free-to-play app. We've been talking about the Vegas Vacation Sweepstakes for the past few episodes. They had 4 windows, and the final one is happening right now. It's going to end on January 23rd, and what it is if you log on to the WSOP free-to-play app, which you can download now, absolutely free. You can see a little button that says Vegas Vacation Sweepstakes. You can click on that, enter your email, and you will be entered to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas, complete with airfare, hotel, and $1,000 Visa gift card. It's a lot of fun. A chance to get to Las Vegas if you're not there. Terms and conditions apply. We actually have a fun little video from the WSOP app. Check it out.
You're a genius, man. What a raise.
Thanks, Phil.
I'll raise to that. To wonderful hands.
And beautifully shaped feet.
Guess what? Jane and I have decided we're going to name the baby after you.
You're gonna call your daughter Greg?
This is Greg. He just won a World Series of Poker vacation in Vegas for him and a friend.
Not Greg. Greg Royal 39.
Download the WSOP free-to-play app for a chance to win a World Series of Poker vacation for 2 in Vegas. Flights, hotels, and spending money included. New winner every week.
Yeah, I got to call my wife back.
All right, we are back to talk kind of a somber story, and obviously it's all over the mainstream news, and this is the fires out there in LA, which has impacted so much, including the poker world. Kind of, Mike, I know you've seen it, you're closer to it than I am in Las Vegas right now, but friends of ours, other players who have been impacted by this, what is your feeling then over the past week or week and a half?
I mean, it's scary stuff, like such a big area to burn down, everybody losing their homes. It's sad to see, but hopefully as a community, we'll see what happens, how they rebuild. It can't be the end of LA, right? But I don't know. I don't really know what to say. It's sad and scary.
Yeah, I'm just hoping everyone's okay and can get back up on their feet after such a devastating thing, especially so close to home here in Las Vegas, just a 3-hour drive away. We're seeing a lot of people coming here for refuge, basically, and yeah, man, it's wild. Like, I can't believe it, and it's a huge area to burn down. If you look, the area, the Palisades, the whole area that burned, it's like 3/4 the size of Las Vegas. Like, it's pretty wild.
It's like 6 times the size of the Chicago fire, what the Chicago fire was. And
holy shit, really?
Yeah, I saw a map that was like outlining how big the Chicago fire was, and then the LA fire was like much bigger.
A 3-hour drive, Mike. How fast are you driving back and forth to LA and Vegas?
It's 3 hours and 21 minutes, isn't it?
5 hours for me. Maybe I just drive slow.
No, San Diego is 5 hours. LA is like 3.5, 4 hours. You just drive slow.
Yeah, 321. If you're in the Tessie, you get nice whipping the work. It's actually longer because you have to charge your car on the way there, but
Fair enough. And I am driving a big Ford F-150 with bad gas mileage.
Yeah, I sometimes I just drive a go-kart there. It helps.
So who? I was just gonna say. So which poker players did we see that were like impacted?
I first saw right early on Jennifer Tilley, who we love on the show, of course, and Phil Locke. I think they were at the Commerce, and Jen Tilley shared a picture of her and Phil outside with all their luggage, and they had to evacuate. James Woods, who of course is a famous Hollywood actor, but also plays in the poker world, was on CNN and gave an emotional interview when he thought his house had burned down. It turned out that it didn't. He was given some bad information, from what I understand.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't mean to laugh. But
No, but yeah.
the idea of James Woods getting misinformation is humorous to me.
I get it. Like, and that's one of the aspects about this whole fire, which we don't have to dive too much into, but it's just like the whole politicization of it. Like,
It's wild.
yeah, it's
a fire. Dude, what's happening? I think Twitter...
The aliens started it.
No, the aliens did start. That's actually facts. Twitter is like not the same as it used to be. Like I got Twitter because of the poker community, and because on Instagram and Facebook you don't really have as much reach, and that's just for some reason poker's on Twitter. And I've noticed a drastic switch from what I'm being shown on my page and what the discourse is, even within the poker community. It's like every time I get on there, there's like, it's just right on my page, like 10 people I've never seen before talking about conspiracy X, conspiracy, blah, 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 this happened. And it's just like all this negative stuff. And it feels like every time I get on Twitter, that's what's happening. And it feels like Twitter is leading the discourse on the
It's not a positive place anymore, that's for sure. I mean, it's hard to see. I try and like make sure to follow a lot of positive pages. Like, what's that? Wholesome Memes. You should follow that one. It's really nice. Or like, there's a kitty cat one that just shows, or like rate my dog. You know, so you just get every once in a while.
I'm a
you
moderator
get a really
for
nice
that page.
one.
No, if you saw my Instagram is like literally.
Oh yeah, Instagram's great. I love it. I get like slot videos and like kitty cat videos. Great mix. Thanks, Instagram.
Mine's just like MMA fighters and kittens and Moodang.
Kittens.
Lots of
I was gonna say
Moodang.
Moodang.
Yeah, lots
But
of
yeah,
Moodang.
Twitter's like conspiracy theory. The Republicans, liberals.
No, it's
Everybody
literally
sucks.
like, I pop on there. It's like Elon Musk dropping like slurs toward the mentally handicapped community. I'm like, what happened? Like, what's going on right now? This is wild.
It is wild times. A couple other people who were impacted by the fires. Robbie Jade Lou shared on Instagram that her neighborhood had been impacted. And I seen David Tuckman, who I play fantasy football with. I've known a long time. He shared a video on social media showcasing his wife's school that she had worked at. Was,
that's sad. I saw that too.
Yeah, that's terrible. Tuckman's good people too.
Yeah,
I think I saw
absolutely.
something today that said Tiffany Michelle's house was burnt down too.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but it's if a shame if it is.
That's
and
terrible. Yeah,
so many people impacted, and hopefully they can get these fires under control. I don't even know if I know they're still going. I don't know how bad it is at the moment and whatnot, but all those in the poker community who have been impacted, wish them well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a fun story. I don't know if it's fun, but I'm like, we got to talk about it because we talked about a 15-way chop over the summer where we got a lot of shit for it because Kyna was sick and missed it.
Wait, so now we have to talk about every chop with more than a normal amount of people?
Every time the chops come up, I'm blamed for not being here for that episode. It's like an ongoing joke. Like, well, we have to talk about a chop again. Remember when Kyna wasn't here?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. We're chop people now?
We don't have to talk about every chop.
No, it's
but
funny.
I feel like 11 people or more is a threshold, and it's also got to be in a big event. So in this particular event, it was a $400 no limit hold'em monster stack at Canterbury Park in Minnesota, which is the first card room I was ever in. By the way, the first time I ever played poker was at Canterbury Park. 1,116 entrants. So there was over $368,000 in this prize pool for a $400 tournament. And originally, it was going to pay $61,000 to first place, whereas an 11th place finisher was going to get $5,100. Well, they did a deal that 11th place, the minimum payment in this deal was $15,450. And the winner, Carl Carotenuto, 3-time MSPT champion, Crazy Carl, as he is known, had a huge chip lead and managed to get $44,000 for first. The runner-up, Uri Fox, $22,000. So I know Crazy Carl got himself a pretty good deal, in my opinion. I don't know what the chip disbursements were exactly at the time, but I know he did have a big chip lead.
Well, Crazy Carl's known in the solver community as one of the better players, so I'm pretty shocked that he took that deal.
I mean, it's locking up $44,000 with 11 people left. When initially you're the best you could get is $17,000 more.
That's a pretty big gap. Yeah, like 11 people left to guarantee that kind of money.
I have no idea who
Probably
Crazy
would've
Carl
taken
is,
it
by
in.
the way. I've never.
You don't?
I don't know
Who is
him
that?
either. I'm thinking three-time MSPT champion, though. I mean, not to make it about me either, but
Yeah, I was going to say, I think anybody could really win one of those, you know?
I am the 2021 Minnesota State champion at Canterbury, right? Like
The Minnesota State Canterbury champion.
Canterbury
Holy
champion.
shit.
It was in Canterbury. It was like, it's such a fun casino too, because it's like, it's a casino, but it's like not really a casino. Like there's like table games and like horse racing.
That's exactly what I imagine Canterbury to be.
but there's no slot machines. Like I think maybe there was video poker. I can't remember. But
It wasn't horse racing. It's it is horse racing there. Wasn't
Yeah,
it? Yes, I remember
it's a
that. I
racetrack.
don't know if they still do it. Yeah, it was. They got like the table games. They don't have slot machines. It's quite the card room actually. And in fact, this event was the largest ever standalone event that they've done, like an in-house event that they've run on their own without the outside assistance of a tour and stuff. So, and as for Carl, I don't blame you for not knowing him, right? He's not, on TV and things like that, but like he is a regional champion, if you will. Like anybody in the Minnesota poker community really knows who he is. Famous on the MSPT. Definitely not a solver guy. They do call him Crazy Carl for a reason.
His name's Crazy Carl, so I knew. Listen, when I said it, I thought one of you two is going to go, wait a second.
We just like go with you. Didn't you do this last week too with the Kazakhstan guy?
Every week. The guy from Kazakhstan, I know that guy well. I'm not even Barzan. He's a monster. I play with him here all the time.
Am I
didn't know
supposed
that was
to take
him.
that seriously too? Like, I mean, I just grain of salt with you. I just
think
wait till
when I
you
start
break.
talking about look at the corners of my mouth. If they're rising slightly, it's a ruse. It's a simple ruse. Here. A simple ruse.
I don't know. You could know Crazy Carl.
No, but I did say straight face the Crazy Carl. But when I said he's known in the solver community, how old's Carl?
Probably my age, 40-ish. I'm gonna guess.
That's not what I thought.
There you go.
Crazy Carl to me is 68 with bug eyes. You know what I mean? Like
Crazy Carl, we're looking for you in the solver
I don't know,
community.
Crazy
Okay,
Carl. I'd like to see
get that GTO
let's see your
Wizard
ICMI
sponsorship.
as a results, dog. You want them leaderboards? What's HUD? I want to see. I want to see what that
Show
boy
a
can
picture
do.
of Crazy Carl so that everybody recognizes.
That's Crazy Carl right there.
Mike's homie.
See,
Mike's
I
new
thought he
homie.
looked totally different than that. Didn't expect that. I thought he was going to be like,
Carl.
it's Crazy Carl. I might check race anytime. You never know.
We don't have to linger on it because we've talked chops before, but what, 11 way chop? I don't know. I don't like to see it. Players are free to do what they will, of course. But
if I'm in 11th and I'm in last place in chips, I'm going to give a hell of a speech and hope to God one of these people says, you know what? I agree with him.
Yeah, I guess, again, it's theirs, but like a field of over 1,100 players, you get down to 11 and it's like, that's when it's go time. That's when this is when the rubber meets the road, so to speak. And then
when the rubber meets the road.
You have not heard the saying before.
I've heard the saying. It's just, it's not one in my nomenclature. You know what I mean?
Crazy Carl fed that one to us.
Crazy Carl talks about the rubber and the road all the time. You know what I mean? He is the road. He is the rubber.
He's where they meet.
Yeah. No, he's also where they meet. Now you're getting it. Now she gets it.
Well, if you've ever wanted to work in the poker industry, now is the time for the rubber to meet the road because Poker News is hiring.
So you're going to say we're looking for a new podcast host.
We're actually looking for a few different roles. I'm going to link to them in the show notes, but I think I'd mention it here real quick. We are hiring for Poker News live reporters, a social content creator, global live events executive, and an editor and digital media executive, ideally based in Nevada. Again, I'll link to it in the show notes, but if you go to pokernews.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a careers tab, and you can apply there and get more information. Or, reach out to me. I can help guide you as well. So definitely looking for some folks to come on board. Let's talk about Jeremy Ausmus, which we have talked about on the show before. He had a big week. It was the PokerGO Tours Last Chance Series. It was taking place. We highlighted a couple winners in last week's episode. Shannon Shore took down the first event. We talked about Brandon Wilson winning back-to-back events, those coming after Nick Schulman had won an event. Martin Zamani ended up winning event number 5, and then Shannon Shore closed it out, winning a second event. So we had two-time winners in this 6-event series.
Pretty sick.
Brandon Wilson
sick.
and Shannon Shore. So And then, so
And
this
Jeremy Ausmus
gives-
got like a bunch of final tables in that one too, didn't he? Again.
Oh, what a shock. Jeremy Ausmus is doing well. Good for him. You have enough goddamn money, Jeremy. Save some for the rest of us. How does he think he can just walk up in the poker community and just take millions of dollars freely and we're all just going to be like, oh, we love you.
I
Give
know,
it
bro
back.
is so nice that he can go ahead and have all the money. Like
No,
I
he
talked to
needs to-
him
and
at the Venetian. I'd never talked to him before. And when the Venetian poker room opened, he went there. He was one of like the special guests. And I was like, oh, Jeremy, you've had such a great summer. Like we talk about you on the podcast all the time. And he was like so humbled. He's like, oh, really? That's awesome. And like just the nicest person ever. So you take all the money you want, Jeremy. Okay. You can have it.
Literally the last time I saw Jeremy Ausmus, I said, hey, Jeremy, how's it? And before I could get finished, he kicked me in the chest, 300 style. And I was like, wow, man, that's really screwed up. And he said, yeah, you're screwed up. And he walked away. I was like, oh, okay. Really nice, Jeremy. Thanks, man.
So looking over some of Jeremy Ausmus, so he was named the 2024 PokerGO Tour Player of the Year. He had a nice, decent score, almost 3,000 points, well ahead of Daniel Legrand, who was second place with just over 2,000 points. So it was Ausmus in the lead for a while, and he closed it out. He had 6.7 million in tournament cashes in 2024, 90% of which came in PokerGO Tour events. And interestingly, he didn't win a tournament until October of last year. So he had all this success, but actually didn't win a tournament until October. 17 final tables that counted towards the PokerGO Tour standings. Just a absolute crusher, Jeremy Ausmus.
He's so good. He's so violent. He can't be stopped.
Sorry.
He's wealthy. He's rich. He's good looking. He's got everything I want. Okay. I'm coming for you, Jeremy Ausmus.
I'm just picturing it too. It'd be so great to see.
Yeah, it'd be like, wow. Yeah.
Like I literally saw the guy like take a video of himself going to buy donuts for his family and put it on Twitter. Like that's the wholesome ass shit he does. Like it's cute.
Have you seen his song? His song is amazing.
Yes, the song
Pocket
was
Jacks.
great. The song was great. The like line up with the song when he busted with the Jacks too. That was also great. Yeah,
it's all great.
We love you, Jeremy.
Yeah, no. I'm coming for everything you've worked for.
Well, you say he can't be stopped, and he really couldn't. So he gets the PokerGO Tour honors, right? Player of the Year honors. And then you have the $1 million free roll, the PokerGO Tour Championship, which is what all these points on the leaderboard lead up to, right? The top, I think, was 40 qualifiers. Some Dream Seat Invitational people get into this. It's a $1 million free roll. It was streamed on PokerGO. It had some of the biggest names in the game. And be damned, Jeremy Ausmus won that for $500,000.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And guess who he defeated heads up?
Nick Schulman.
Oh my God.
Nick Schulman. We talk about Nick Schulman literally every single episode recently. And we actually had John Sofin, my colleague, had written an article. It's I don't even think it's been published yet because it was sitting in the back end. It was regarding kind of Nick Schulman, Poker Hall of Fame based. And I was kind of joking. I'm like, what if he, maybe we should hold off on this for a day or two. What if he wins this PokerGO Tour championship? And he didn't win it, but he finished in second place, which I just thought was pretty incredible. Two legends going heads up. Calvin Anderson, Dylan Weissman, Chris Hunichin, and Jim Colopy rounded out that final table. So congratulations to Jeremy Ausmus, the PokerGO Tour Player of the Year and the PokerGO Tour Championship winner. So he had to wait till October of 2024 to win a tournament that year. He's already got one in 2025. So
wow, what a long wait. I'd hate to have to wait 10 months to win millions of dollars. That'd be horrible.
Not to like rub salt in the wound either, but like, did you see on that, on the bubble, on that tournament that the Foxons busted back to back on the bubble? Like,
no, they went bubble.
Yeah. Alex Foxon busted first to Dylan Weissman, I think. And then the Kristen busted to Hooney, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, to Hooney, I think.
She busted in
They were at
place.
different tables, too. So they were all in at the same time.
Yeah. And they were like, honey, look where...
Yeah, and then they just ran out of the studio. I mean, not like I said, not to rub salt in the wound, but it was... I did catch it.
That's some stuff. That sucks.
Yeah.
Wait, 7th and 8th were the ones that didn't get money?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, only top 6 got money. How many people were in the tournament? 60?
I think it ended up being, let's see if they got it here.
64?
116 entries. I guess.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a lot more than I thought. Or hold on, no, I'm sorry. That was my bad. That's Shannon Shore winning his last event.
He's the GOAT.
In the free roll, 50 players.
Yeah.
50 players.
It's great. It's crazy. Shannon Shore too, 2 wins. The Alabama White Snakes. Shannon Shore himself. He's killing it.
Yeah, he's they're all a beast, and it's fun to see these guys get it done. I want to ask you guys, so we're going to end this episode with a fun interview that I did. We teased it last week. I talked to Joris Dekker, who is the creator of a book called The Las Vegas Book, which is this very high-end, very quality book. It's not necessarily poker, it's more Las Vegas, but it touches a lot upon famous Las Vegas landmarks that are poker related, like the Wynn. In fact, if you see the book, it's red. It's got this Wynn design. He worked with the designers. I sat down with him for a one-on-one talk about the book, which is how we're going to end this episode. But before we do, I want to ask both of you what's coming up. Kyna, I know I'm going to see you here at the end of the month, the MSPT at Potawatomi. I'm pretty excited about it. It's the first poker I'm going to have played, honestly, since I think last WSOP. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. So I'm excited for that. That one's not for a couple weeks, but a week from Saturday is the ladies Venetian meetup game. So ladies in Vegas, come check that out. There's also in February going to be a ladies tag team event at the Venetian. So I'll probably talk about that one again before then. But, just something to keep on the radar. And then on Saturday of this week, I'm doing like a PLON talk. They asked me, just to do like a Q&A and like talk briefly about a topic that like I'm interested in or that I've looked into a lot. So catch that on the PLON Facebook page. It's on Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. So
it's pretty cool. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks. Excited.
Oh yeah.
Mike, what about you? You got any big plans on the horizon?
Probably gonna not wear many clothes at my house, eat a bunch of meat with nitrates in it, probably a lot of salami, beef jerky, hot dogs, etc. Gonna be depressed for a few weeks, play poker online. Yeah, that's it, man. How about you? You got any big plans?
I was just in my head picturing like the Jeremy Ausmus you were just talking about, and then what you just described.
Well, no, there's a dartboard. What I didn't say is there's a Jeremy Ausmus dartboard on my wall, and it's dark in my house. There's no lights, and that's on purpose because I'm going to walk through with darts, and every once in a while I'm just going to throw it, and once I miss, I'm going to go, Jeremy! Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Speaking of dartboards, did you see my latest poker thrift store find? It was actually here in Wisconsin. It was a full tilt poker dartboard.
No way.
I didn't see that. Where is it?
I didn't see that.
Why is it not hung up in your new setup?
It's sitting in the house somewhere. Of course, I bought it. It was $3.99. I'll have flashed a picture on screen, but that was kind of a fun one. What
would have been the price that you would have said that's too much to that?
Probably $10 or more. It wasn't bad, not the greatest condition.
Okay. I was going to say $11 is it's too much.
No, like $10.50, man, or $10.01. He said $10. Homie said $10.
He did say that he also included cents before. So yeah, I agree with you. I think $10.01 would have been the cutoff. Damn.
I am definitely one of those and I've told people this all the time, that non-poker people, like, I am very frugal off the felt, right? Like, it's like, oh man, that's over $10. I don't know if I can do it. But you give me in a cash game of PLO, and I've got an open-ended straight with a flush draw. Like, let's get the $1,000 in, so to speak. So
well, you can't also,
wow, crazy! A straight and a flush draw, he'll get money in. He's insane.
Also, you can't really buy every thrift store thing you find, or you'd be like some sort of mad hoarder. You have to pick and choose. It has to be important enough. Like, it could be interesting enough to talk about, but not necessarily interesting enough to buy.
Sure, yeah. If you did buy everything, you'd end up with like garden gnomes and turtles,
right?
And everything everywhere,
mass quantities of Spraggy hoodies.
Yeah. We're like, I don't know, little moodang trinkets and stuff, circular cushions for WSOP.
4 of the things on your table there at Level 9 Studio.
Is that what we're getting?
Oh my God, it's crazy. They're all on the table. Who would have known?
They're all from thrift stores, except for your gnome and your totals.
My cup, my mom got me from Uncommon Goods. That's a cool website if you haven't checked it out.
Oh, yet. I should have brought the cup your mom got me.
All right.
All right. Well, let me set up this interview, how we're going to end this episode. Before I do, be sure to like, subscribe, check out our sponsor, the WSOP free-to-play app. And, if you're voting, the Global Poker Awards are coming up. We're going through the kind of nomination process at the moment. Hopefully, Poker News makes the short list, but any support in that regard would be greatly appreciated. So, earlier this week, I sat down with Joris Dekker. He's from the Netherlands. We had a nice talk. It's about 15 minutes about the Las Vegas book, which, as you're going to see, is a very cool project that he did. It was a very high-end book that is available now, but even if it's not for you, I think you're going to Really enjoy the story. Check it out. We'll see you next week. Until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.
And the lights on. We'll keep the lights on for you too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am with my guest this week, somebody I'm very excited to talk to, one Joris Dekker, the author, creator, I don't know what the right word is, of the Las Vegas book. What do you consider yourself? Is it the originator, the author? What's your title in this?
I guess it's a jack of all trades in this regard. Yeah, so I was the originator, but also the author. So yeah, no, it's both, and it's been a great project driving it forward from the first idea towards completion, and I've loved every step of the way.
Well, that's going to be my first question, really, is how did this idea come about? When did it start taking root? And like, when did you start to act upon it?
Yeah, so I've always been fascinated by Vegas, and being a historian kind of drove me to asking questions every time that I set foot in this crazy desert town. Um, but I don't think any concrete ideas culminated until I visited the Wynn for the first time, which inspired me so much. I felt really sort of connected to that place. I think the first time I visited the Wynn was when I was like 30-ish, so about 10 years ago. And I mean, nothing that sparked me already to write a book in those beginning years, but I kept coming back. And then COVID happened, and I thought like, I want to do something with my old passion, my old hobby, and why shouldn't it be Vegas? So that got me into reading, and then eventually writing about it. And all the books that are out there on Las Vegas are pretty much hardcovers, uh, and also a little bit outdated books, I would say. If you go to Amazon, you'd see a lot of good publications about Vegas, but they're mostly 90s, 2000s, So I thought, Vegas deserves not only an up-to-date book, but also more of a grand, majestic one that's really something to be proud of when you have it home, rather than just another book that you take on a vacation or put beside your bed.
Yeah, I mean, and that certainly hits the mark, right? So you mentioned the Wynn. The Wynn is very popular within the poker world. It's largely regarded as the best place to play poker in Las Vegas, and it's got this certain elegance about it, to put one word on it. And your book does too. Like it reflects that in a lot of regards, right? So I teased it in last week's episode of, this isn't just your ordinary book. This is very high end. It's limited to 3,500 copies. It is handmade in Northern Italy. There's a leather box, velvet, gold foil letters. I mean, this is the kind of premier book. So you went all out, right? Like I've had a lot of people approach me over the years about poker books and things like that, and then they write a little something, they get it self-published, and that's great. But like this, you went straight to the top of the line. It's like you said you were going to build a car and you decided to build a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good comparison. Yeah, no, I mean, coffee table books are really upcoming. Like ever since Taschen started, publishing these kind of books mostly in Europe and then conquering market share in the US. You got Esseline, which is a very big coffee table book producer. So people sort of have been seeing more and more of these, but none of them ever went into the history and the evolution of Las Vegas, and that surprised me. I thought like, okay, Vegas is not only a very popular town for those that live there, but moreover, it's a city that's visited by over 40 million people annually. So it has such a worldwide fan base, people that you either hate or you love Vegas, and the 40 million people that visit it every year, they love it. So yeah, I wanted to create something that lasts for those that have a strong connection with Vegas. And what I felt every time that I, came back from Vegas and I came home, I kind of missed being there already. Like it's a strange thing, Vegas. It's you can't compare it to any city, right? So you're in there, and after a few days, you're like, oh my God, how am I going to survive much longer? Because there's alcohol kicking in, there's party, there's long poker sessions for those who play poker or casino. It's sort of a matrix where you're plugged in, and then after a few days, you think, okay, this is enough. But then you come home, and your life at home all of a sudden seems boring. You have these family dinners or whatever the next weekend, and you think like, oh my God, the time in Vegas, that was so much better. So I hope that this book at least brings people back into those glorious moments that they've experienced when riding the waves in Vegas.
One thing that I found interesting about the book was this may have started just you alone, but you ultimately brought in a lot of other people. You had a team around you, I think of a couple dozen people or so, which is reflected throughout, even on the website, thelasvegasbook.org. You had a great trailer video that I showed in a prior episode of the Poker News podcast. What was it like to go from, okay, I'm going to do this, and you're by yourself, to reaching out to the folks that you did at the Win and others involved with the project?
Yeah, so I think the idea to publish the most lavish, grand, majestic book about Vegas is putting a lot of pressure on yourself. So I started asking myself the question, like, so why am I the guy that is gonna do that? Like, who am I? I'm just a guy from the Netherlands, growing up in a small town. So who am I to say, wow, this is gonna be the book that Vegas fans need to have? Like, it felt like a lot of pressure. So relieving that pressure and starting that journey, you can't do it without help of experts. And I was lucky enough to touch upon two of the most famous executives in the world of Vegas. Not so much famous as in them being the tycoons, the grand names such as Steve Wynn or Kurt Corian themselves, but more people just one step behind, that rode the ride with those people, that were close enough to experience everything that helped drive Vegas forward. So Glenn Schaefer, one of the editors, he's been an executive in Vegas for over 20 years, closely working with Bill Bennett, one of the founders of many of the hotels that still stand strong on the Strip. And then there's Roger Thomas, who was the right hand of Steve Wynn when it came to interior design, architecture, everything that made the resorts that Steve built beautiful. So both Bellagio, Mirage, and obviously Wynn and Encore Las Vegas. Roger played a major role in creating those opulent places. And Roger, from the onset, was not only my editor in terms of design and how to put a book like this together, but he was also an advisor, a connector. He connected me to pretty much everyone that I needed to speak to or, work with to create this book. So Roger is he's been the main man all out, and I can't thank him enough.
It is really remarkable. Like, I was looking at the website again, the LasVegasBook.org, and the trailer was one of my favorite things because it's so high class, just like the book. And then you're in it, you star in it, and you got to drive this. I don't even know what the vehicle was, but this is an awesome classic car that you got to drive into Vegas. And what kind of car was that, if you recall? And what was that whole experience like filming the trailer for this book?
Oh, I love that question because it's one of my personal favorite moments. We had this idea. I had a camera guy with me and two friends of mine, and we had this idea to rent a car, drive in the desert, get a drone, coming along with it, and just film something that would portray the journey from me as an author driving through the desert and then slowly evolving into driving on the Strip, which basically that's where the book is about, right? It's a desert city grown into this commercial highway that we now call the Strip. And I think I was searching a vintage car on Turo. Turo is a pretty famous platform nowadays, and I found this Jaguar, which I think it was from 1965, so a beautiful classic Jaguar. And there was this guy who owned the car, and he lived sort of out of Vegas, and we had to drive towards him. And the first time he wasn't even home, so we had to come back. And then all of a sudden we saw the car parked, and we said like, wow, what an amazing opportunity to rent it for a couple of days. And he was like, please be as careful as possible with it, don't speed, don't do anything stupid, don't drive in the desert, all that sort of, because it's a very obviously fragile car. But it was a fantastic experience, and one of the fun things was because of the heat. I mean, we drove it in August. The car was really suffering. The last hour, I remember driving back from the desert onto the strip. It actually broke down near the end, and I thought it was just a problem with the engine due to the overheating and the overusage. But it was actually I ran out of gasoline, and the gasoline meter was kind of broke, like it didn't work. So I had to park the car on the strip next to the Flamingo. The police had to sort of close off the road for me, and that was it was insane because there were so many people driving past me, and they were like, "Wow, what an awesome car! Who is this guy?" Because I was in a suit, so kind of a James Bond appearance there. So, but yeah, no, it was fantastic. I will never forget it. It was one of the most fun moments to, the writing and the creation of the book is one thing, but the marketing, I've also enjoyed really much.
Yeah, I'll admit that it was pretty impressive and pretty badass to be able to drive that car through Vegas. One thing I really like about the book is they have you give some love and attention to the Mirage, which I believe opened back in 1989, but now is done. It's closed up last year, and of course, it's going to make way for the new Seminole Hard Rock that will be coming to Las Vegas. And it just seems good timing almost, if you will. And I'm sure that wasn't the intention by any means, but a good swan song, if you will, to the Mirage, right? Is you get to look back at its history in the Las Vegas book. And, when you ask people, especially poker players in Las Vegas, the Mirage was such an iconic place for them to play.
Oh, most definitely. I think there's no more iconic place that's left than the Mirage on the Strip. I mean, you could say the Flamingo is even more iconic in terms of longevity and being more ancient. But the Mirage revolutionized the Strip. When Steve Wynn built that place, he transformed everything there was to transform in Las Vegas. Like everything got 10x in terms of investment, in terms of the resort size, in terms of the imagination and the storytelling and the offering with the volcano, the dolphin reserve, the atrium, which shed light onto the casino floor, the amount of Michelin and gourmet restaurants. Of course, the show with Siegfried and Roy, like everybody that's 50 age plus right now still remembers how near and dear that experience must have been. Like it was the heydays of Vegas. Like economically, the 90s have been the most um, the largest growth era I think that Vegas has gone through, and even the world. Like you had credit cards coming up, you had like this great growth, massive economic growth, and Steve, he completely took advantage of it in the best way possible with that beautiful resort that changed the face of the Strip. So when I spoke to Steve Wynn on the phone, I had the pleasure to do so a couple of times. He mentioned to me that both the Mirage and the Bellagio were just how did he call it? Practice resorts. Because every time he said like, we want to do better. So when he looked back on the Mirage, he's mostly explaining his mistakes that he made. But um, we all see that when you compare it to the resorts that were standing in the 80s, and it's just such a leap of everything, basically, such a big move forward. So we're gonna miss it, and again, like I hope Hard Rock will maintain that vibe in some way, but I think it's also good for change coming because the Mirage wasn't the resort anymore that it used to be. And, I think it's a good chance for Hard Rock to show what it can do.
I don't I don't get jealous often, but I have a short list of maybe 5 people that I dream of interviewing and talking to one day, and Steve Wynn is on that list. So very jealous that you got that chance. For those who would like to learn more about the book or possibly even purchase, again, I said it's very limited edition, but for those interested, what's the best way for them to go about that?
The website is your go-to area. So just go to the website, and sometimes we have promotion periods, like we did a promotional period just before Christmas. where we offered 5% discount and free shipping. But we won't do that often. As you say, it's a limited edition, and sales have been going through the roof. Like we launched the sale 3 months ago, and so far 800 books have been sold of the 3,500. So, there's still a lot of opportunity if you want to order, but I'd say in a few years this will sell out. So, but we've produced more than enough, so you're not too late yet. So, no, just go to the website and make sure that you place your order there, and that's easy because it's worldwide shipping, and within 3 to 4 days, even if you live in the US, because the shipping takes place from Europe, even then you're gonna have the book right at your doorstep pretty fast.
That's awesome stuff. The LasVegasBook.org. Joris, thank you so much for chatting with me, and thank you for doing this book. As somebody who has spent a lot of time in Vegas, I've lived in Vegas, who shares that passion and love for Vegas that you do, and like so many others, this is a real testament to Las Vegas and its legacy.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to talk to PokerNews about this, and I loved your questions. Thanks.